out of time. Oh my goodness. Hello and welcome to Jemma Bayley Reviews Everything Ever. It's me, Jemma Bayley. We're running out of time. We're not running out of time. It's fine.
Jemma Bayley Reviews Everything Ever.
It's fine. It's fine. No one's gonna die. So I say every time my friends get anxious, I'm like, hey. And there's a deadline coming up. Hey. No one's gonna die. Except all of us one day, because the stoic in me jumps in. We are all gonna, and we should really value the present, but not about this. Saying no one's gonna die is probably not the best thing to say to someone who is anxious. Because the idea of not dying is actually also anxious inducing. There's more of this shit. If you're already anxious and you're like, oh, don't worry, no one's going to die. We're not? Will I never rest? Will there never be rest for us? No, there won't be. Actually, a lot of people don't tell you this, but after you die, there's a massive, unbalancing sheet of your life that you have to do, and it takes ages, and you don't know the formulas for the Excel spreadsheet. It's very annoying. I have a Tamagotchi, a new one, so this one was $53. They're expensive. My phone was $150. It connects to other phones and takes calls and messages and all that, but this, I don't know. I don't know about this. Is it just me, or is this whole podcast just me going, I think I'm getting ripped off? Am I getting ripped off? That's the inner, I have a deprivation. I from growing up poor, I always think I'm getting ripped off, even when that doesn't seem right. That costs heaps. We're getting ripped off. Well, let's get straight into it then. Jemma. Oh, you, did you watch Empire Records recently? How can you tell? I did. I watched it last night. Someone recommended it to me, but I don't think it was one of you on the Instagram or Facebook. I think it was just someone in my life, because I was talking about wanting to watch funny, weird movies that had good soundtracks, and they were like, watch Empire Records. And I'll say this, I watched it. I did like the music, and obviously I like the aesthetic. It was very me. However, it was the weirdest fucking movie I don't know whether I would tell someone to go watch that, because it makes me judge the person who told me to. It's just, the characters are all zany, which is fun, but it's they're zany to a point where the plot just gets lost. The whole thing is basically Empire Records is this record store that's going out of business, going to get bought up by a major corporation, music town or whatever. And they're trying to save it because there's a bunch of misfit kids who work there. And they're all got their own levels of weirdness. It's kind of it reminded me of the Breakfast Club, but it just had it seemed to have no extra meaning, and nothing ever, things were just thrown in. At one point, someone comes in with a gun, and it's a kid who tries to shoot up the place, but then they just give him a job because they're clearly he's one of them. And you could see that from the beginning, but it was also he had a gun and he was trying to shoot people. Then they were stripping and dancing in the store with the customers, and people were making out in the music. I mean, it was nostalgic to watch. It was fun to but it was also I feel halfway through they just forgot that the store was in danger. This at the start, they're we need this amount of money, and then they just all forgot about it and went off and started being their characters around the store. And then towards the end, they're oh yeah, that's right, we needed money by the end of the day. I thought the whole thing was going to be we have to save our store, and coming up with all these different ways, and then them not working. But no, they just continued on with their day, and they're oh man, it kind of sucks that we lost all that money. And then there's this dude who comes in who's some old rock star pop idol thing that they all you're dumb because it's pop music. And he comes and he fucks one of the teenagers, and they're all that happened. And they were yeah, because that teenager's known as a slut. So it's whatever. And then the guy, and then he comes in and punches another kid in the mouth. This girl shaves her head, and they pretend to have a funeral for her. It's just, everything I've said right now sounds it's just a bunch of shit together, but in the movie, for some reason, it made sense for all those things that happen not made sense, they happen, and you were yes, this would happen in this universe of absolute nonsense. But scene for scene, pitch this to someone, I think they'd be I don't think we should make this into a movie. I think the person who made this into a movie had extra money. Anyway, Empire Records, I enjoyed it because I'm a little weirdo. And whoever recommended it to me understood this about me. So I enjoyed it. But however, I don't think anyone else was going to enjoy it. So I'm going to give it a 3. All right, that's the first review. First review out the gate. I want to review Jack of all trades, master of none. Now, so there's a fair amount of you been like, yeah, that's not the actual phrase, it's a lot longer, blah, it's just commonly misconstrued. For those of you who don't know and are not good at articulating it, I'm here, hi. You don't think I'm going to guess on what it is and then later find out the origin and then later find out that it's actually even more stuff? Do you not think that's going to happen? It's going to happen, right? Here we go. So Jack of all trades. Here's the common saying, Jack of all trades, master of none. It is commonly used to talk down someone who has multiple trades. They're not focusing, they're not specializing. Like, it's really kind of demeaning to whoever is doing that work. Like someone who the whole concept is that this person is half-assing a bunch of stuff rather than whole-assing one thing, which now, by the way, is pretty much been debunked by like everyone in this. Like everyone knows that multiple disciplines kind of feed into each other and you can become better through multiple avenues. Like in the creative process, well, we're getting deep. In the creative process, apparently, if you have multiple creative outlets, your brain will take parts of the problem solving from other ones and apply it to each other at something. Like, for instance, comedy writing. If you are just a comedian and you are just writing jokes and you're just hanging out with comedians, all that, your stuff is going to become very much just that. If you are also a chef, if you're also a nurse, if you have other things, this all adds in. Those experiences come in and you use that stimuli to feed your creative process. That's a really like obvious example of it, is that material comes from life, right? Whereas like apparently, and I watched a documentary on this, like people who are like scientifically inclined that are working on theses and like shit like that, like who are doing science problems, which is also arguably a creative problem solving process. They said that creativity comes into those avenues and that a lot of top scientists have other things that they do, like they cook or they do crochet, like they have like other stuff that helps them see links that they wouldn't have other thought of unless they were thinking in a different way somewhere else. When you hear the saying Jack of all trades, master of none being referred to like that, first of all, you just call it on being bullshit. But also, that's not the actual saying. That's not even the actual saying. The actual saying is the reverse of that. So the full saying, to my knowledge, is Jack of all trades, master of none, still better than master of one. So let's quickly Google that. Now that I got my little rant out of the way, because I do genuinely, when people use that wrong, I'm a little bit like, I do that stupid know-it-all thing when I'm actually, like, and it's only because the meaning behind this phrase, this particular meaning pisses me off because I do a bunch of different stuff and I get clearly it's because I have an insecurity based around the concept of my like abilities and how I sometimes think that I am spreading myself too thin. So it's actually introspectively just, I get mad about it because clearly I'm worried that I'm doing that. But here's the full saying. Jack of all trades, master of none is a phrase describing someone with varied skills but no deep expertise in one singular area. While often used negatively, it is frequently a partial quote. The full quote, often unknown phrase is a jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. So the complete opposite. So the original intent. Historically, it describes a versatile generalist who, while lacking deep expertise, possesses adaptability. Oh shit, that's cool. That's kind of like I do that at my work with my illustration skills. And this kind of sucks. I don't have my own style. A lot of artists will develop, like, and I work in cartoon illustration. A lot of cartoonists have their own style and it's unique to them. So even to the point where you could see it and go, oh, that's clearly that artist. I don't really have that because I often work off of other people's styles. So I can basically do a version of theirs that clearly, like, to the people who know that style intimately can tell that it's not them, but it's enough of a mimic that people won't pick up on it for commercial purposes. I'm just, evil. I'm just a product of the commercialization of art. And it sickens me. The justification for myself, understand what I'm actually doing is just a job. I love my job. I'd love to know what kind, I don't think I could have been like a great artist if I had put the practice. That's actually a lie. I think I would have been a really good artist. I'm trying to not sound smug because it's easy to say that I could have been something, but I have a tenacity and gumption that makes me stick to things. That makes me almost aggressively push forward in something where people will say that's too hard or this. I don't care and I want to do it. And it's almost like not in spite of, but if I want to do something and other people are saying it's not that, and I get annoyed at the concept that people are like, you won't make money out of it. I'm like, that is not why I'm doing. I'm annoyed that you think that I'm doing it for the reasons you would do it for. I'm doing it for my reasons. And that I think the misunderstood part is actually where my anger comes from. Deeply being misunderstood by people. We've gotten so deep so early. I can't. How do we get out? The deep part of me, I need to get out. Get away. The avoidant tendencies in my head. If I had pursued the arts and illustration and painting, whatever medium I chose to go forward with, if I had pursued in that direction, I would be a great, great artist by now. I'd be poor and living in a hole, but I would be fantastic. Because of just the sheer, I would just continue. And I know that I know people would be like, oh, there's no guarantee that you become. Yeah, no, I would, because the skill set of becoming an artist is simply keep going and doing and practicing. And it's a long, this is why talent isn't what artists have. It's skill. Because you can, I have a talent for illustration and graphics and all that sort of stuff. I don't have the skill that's brought me into some of the artists that I admire, especially people that I've worked with. Their work, I'm like, that's skill. That's years of pursued interest. That's impressive. Talent's fine. Talent's gorgeous. Kids have talent. Adults have skills. Let's get into it. What's the difference between skill and talent? I'll tell you. I'm here to tell you. I don't have it. Talent is a slur to artists. Also, calling an illustrator a drawer is funny. I don't think that's like a slur to artists. What is a slur to artists? It's like when you're illustrating and someone goes, oh, that's a nice little animation you've done there. That is not animation is moving pictures. A static image is not an animation. But I gotta let this go because the general public don't know this stuff. So someone's mum who sees you do an artwork will be like, love that animation. And you're like, thanks, Carol. You're a fantastic drawer. Oh, thanks. You're very talented. Cool. How are the kids? Oh, they're great. They're great. You know what? As a mother, you're very talented. You're a great motherer. You slut. How many kids you have? You slut. That's a Bron Lewis joke. That's not mine. I just realized that after I said it. I was like, that's funny. It can't be me. If I ever know that I'm doing someone else's joke, I do a little TM Bron Lewis. I went on her podcast recently, her and Brett Blake. It was really funny. They have this podcast called Work Hates. And man, I should have talked about being an artist a little bit more, but we blew through the topics. Go watch it. I think Brett does a fart. Brett did a fart act out for entirely too long, and I just lost my mind. I love as far along and diverse I consider my taste in comedy. Good fart joke gets me every time. They stick with you. A fart joke. That's how you know it's a good fart joke. It lingers and makes your eyes water. Modern context is frequently used to describe a passionates or versatile individuals. Pro-con perspective. While a specialist holds deep knowledge, a generalist or jack brings broad adaptability to complex situations, often allowing them to connect ideas across domains. That's what I was talking about. Like if you have a lot of things, you can do So whereas a specialist can kind of get bogged down in the one thing, you can't see everything that's going on here. You can't draw from multiple places. The phrase often sometimes interpreted as a compliment on someone's ability to be flexible and knowledgeable is in many different areas rather than a criticism on their lack of specialization. I'm giving this phrase a 5 because even the misuse of the phrase points to the problem of the original phrase. So like the whole phrase is in its entirety means something deeper than the shortened version, which in my brain is like it's kind of like this is the short version, the specialized version, the edible version is not getting the full picture. If you include all of the context, you get a better understanding of the quote. It's like itself. It's like itself. It's I like a thing that is also it's like a little piece of art. It's like a little piece of the human brain that's been broken apart and put back together, and it's like, see, it cross proves itself. The misuse of the first phrase proves the phrase of the full quote. Isn't that nice? I like it. Ooh, I got shivers. Well, I'm really liking doing these phrases, guys. Do you like these phrases? I like doing these phrases. We're going to keep doing them. I'm going to review cream, not in a gross way, not in a sex way, in just the actual thing, cream, like from cows or goats or people. We're not talking about that anymore. I can't be talking about human milk anymore. It just here's how I feel about cream. Cream, for some reason, is sexy, and I don't know why. Like it's like that thing that people will do, like with the food in bed. It's like chocolate and cream, which both of those are awful. It gets all over everything. Honestly, I've never been into the food in the bedroom sort of thing because I'm already like. I just don't like mess. I'd like to not have to, I don't want my brain taken out of the sexy time. It's kind of like if you're having sex and then someone comes in with like a math problem and you're like, oh, okay, I'll quickly like solve that. Or I won't. I'll just look at it and be like, numbers, get out. My ultimate fear, numbers and letters, get out. It's like if I were having sex and someone's like, yeah, and I go, oh, you're making me feel so excited, and then they're like, spell that, and I'm like, no, unless they like spell that, and every time I get it wrong, they're like, oh, you're a bad girl, that's an extra spank. I'd be like, oh my god, does it start with an S? And they're like, no, and I'm like, oh no. A sexy dyslexic role play is not to be underestimated. How the hell did we get there? Oh, yeah. So cream being sexy is a really interesting one. It's weird that cream is sexy because it goes off. But also, my experience of cream is cooking was like the first time like you introducing cream into sauces. Like, holy shit. It kicks it up a notch. You know, like when you have like a tomato-y based thing and then you put a bit of cream in it and you're like, it makes the tomatoes more tomato-y. What a great time. Whipped cream, I thought, was like a different thing. I just thought it, like how cheese is different from milk and cream and all that. I just thought it was like I thought there was a bigger process involved in whipping cream than simply whipping cream. I thought it was just like string cheese. I just thought it was like I thought it was just completely, is string cheese different from cheese? Yeah, it's a different type of cheese. It's a different processed cheese to regular cheese. I thought that was the same thing with whipped. So when I was told to whip cream for the first time, because I was working in a deli, when I was like whipping it, I was thinking, oh, this is not going to happen. And they were like, no, just keep going. I kind of thought I was being hazed. I was, but for a completely different reason. And then I think maybe 10 minutes in, it went guggung. And then suddenly it was thick. And like because it was liquid. That was a magical moment. But also the way we got there is I was being hazed. I had a massive like tub of cream. And they were like, all right, we need to get these done for the tiramisus or whatever we were doing, pavlovas. And I'm sitting here going like this with this massive whisk, and they had me going for like 20 minutes. And then it happened. I was like, oh my God. And my arm was so sore. And then they go, all right, now you've got to do 2 more bowls, but we'll bring out the machine for that. And I went, what? And they had it was an industrial sized kitchen. Of course they had a machine. I'm pretty sure I've even seen the machine. And I didn't even... Anyway, chefs are mean. I almost didn't last in that kitchen because they just yell at you. They just yell at you straight to your face. And I mean, honestly, I was really like bad at shit, but like, don't need to yell at me. It didn't make me work better. It just made me work more fearful. And when you're in fear, you make more mistakes. So I guess it's their fault they went out of business. They didn't go out of business. They're fine. Which I've been yelled at a lot in my life. I get yelled at a lot. Not now. Well, now I know how to like defend myself. I think verbally I can just be like, or I just like go away. I'm like, I don't want to. Hey. Yeah, as a kid, I got yelled at a lot by not even my parents. My parents didn't yell at me a lot, but people of authority, teachers, employers, like older kids. Like I just got yelled at a lot. People would yell at me. And I understand that I can be kind of frustrating and that I'm a slow learner. I think also it just, well, mind you, I was incredibly anti-authority. I was really like bad with mucking up and being loud and all that. So I'm still doing that shit now. I've got to stop. So, cream. We're giving it, I love real whipped cream. That shit's dope. So, whipped cream, assuming we're talking about real whipped cream, we're giving it 5. It's good time. I wish people wouldn't sexualize it because it's just so good. I don't want to think about sex like, oh, actually, you know what is hot when you go like that and you go, that is hot. But that's the only time it's hot. Any other time, just don't go overboard with the whipped cream is all I'm saying. 5 stars. We are going to review goths. Yeah, I did without pissing any goths off. We're gonna talk about goths. I know they're scary and hot, but like we gotta review everything ever, so I have to at some point. I'm so scared. I feel like goth girls overly sexualized, overly like as much, and they are, and don't get me wrong, they are hot. We all want them to sit on us. But boys, why aren't we getting all excited about the goth boys? There's this one particular guy, who's that dude from, is it Where in the Shadows? The guy who's like, I'm from New York City. the most famous goth boy, I want to argue. Like, I do love a dude who has that like feminine edge to him. The idea of a man adopting an aesthetic is already feminizing. Let me explain. Femininity for years. Let me explain. For years, femininity has been the addition to the vessel. Adding like lipstick and eyelashes and blah, blah, blah. Like it's always been an addition, whereas man has always been just what is. And no, in any addition has been gay, which I fundamentally am like, no. If we look at it in those terms, anything in addition to a man is feminizing. Not bad, because we all live within the feminine and masculine of ourselves. Femininity isn't necessarily the addition of either. Like, I think that real femininity is very close to masculinity, which is a softer confidence. I feel like masculinity is kind of like an analytical confidence, and I feel like femininity is a more flexible confidence. It's more nuanced. So you need both. You got to exist in the plane of like reality, but you've also got to push for more. Is this making sense? I don't know. Anyway, goths are cool. And they are spooky. Actually, if are goths, do they have to include like the charisma of a goth? Because I feel like I've met heaps of goth girls and they're all funny and sweet and lighthearted. They just dress goth-like. And I think that's like to ward off. I think there is a part of alternative culture that is like to ward off people who are fake. But in the ability to create like that sort of mystique, you do have people who adopt the clothing but don't act nice or act towards it. So there are plenty of people who are like goth baiting. I don't know. I associate goths with coffee for some reason, and I don't know why. I associate goths with death, coffee, and Halloween, and that makes sense. But coffee is the one that I don't understand why I associate them with coffee. I feel like that's a very like art house thing. I actually art like art spaces. I associate goths with. Modern goth subculture, which emerged in the 1970s and 80s, shares only a name with the historical German people. Okay. I was like, wow, this is deeper than I thought. Instead, drawing inspiration from the 18th century Romanistic Victorian Gothic literature and horror, focusing on dark aesthetic music and fashion. It's interesting that goths have taken inspiration from like the Victorian era and that sort of garment, because like in the same way, like the Harajuku culture of Japan like took their inspiration from Victorian era but came up with a completely different, they're like the opposites of each other, but they're two sides of the same coin. They're both good. Don't get me, they're both very good. I think maybe I just like frills. I think that's all it is, actually, now that I think about it. I'm like, do they have that much in common apart from the Victorian era? And I do love a good Victorian, you know what, and I like Bridgerton. It's just frills. I just like frills. What makes a goth? What makes a goth? Steampunk? Is steampunk a goth? Steampunks are goths. No, they're not. Steampunk isn't a goth. If goths are stand-up comedians, steampunk is improv, which makes cyberpunk like musical comics. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know the difference between punk and goth. I think maybe one is born out of an anti-authority as like establishment from England, and then the other one is like Victorian era entrenched in the shadow self of humanity. But who's to know? How are we ever gonna know? I don't know. I think actually, you know what? Every time I go over this, I guesstimate at it. It ends up being correct. So I'm just gonna say that's what it is because I'm too lazy to Google. Oh, fuck it. Here we go. What's the difference between goth and punk? Goth and punk are distinct alternative subcultures sharing roots in anti-conformity, but they differ sharply in aesthetics and music. Punk is high-energy, political, and DIY focused with raw, vast music. Goth, emerging from post-punk, is moody, atmospheric, and focuses on dark romanticism, poetry, and fashion. Yeah. Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, punk, paperclips, no, what are they? Punk has the safety pins and goth has the lace. The more you know. Imagine if I just did like a hey guys, how to spot the difference between a punk and a goth, and it's just like these dumb little things. Do they talk about death a lot? Goth. Do they talk about the government a lot? Punk. Do they have safety pins? Punk. Do they have lace? Goth. It's so funny to think that like the punk just became seamstresses because they were like, yeah, we ain't buying your capitalist pig shit. Am I punk? No. I do wear a lot of platforms, but I'm not punk. Can you be soft punk? If there's such a thing as soft punk, I'm soft punk because like I believe in it, but I don't. I'm not hard enough to have any follow through. I'm going to be at a protest, but I'm going to be very well hydrated and underneath an umbrella. And if the police turn up, I'm going to leave. I'm no help. I'm helping in a very soft way. I'm trying to change people's perspectives and ideas, and I'm trying to appeal to their better person. But like, if someone's charging at someone, I can't get in the way. I'm not going to be I guess I could throw myself in front of like a tank, but it's gonna roll over me. Mine is being sweet and funny, and that's how I'm gonna fight the good fight. Goth done right is deep and pretty. Ugh. So let's go 4 for goth. Let's go 4 because I'm too scared to give it anything lower. I am sweating so much, I just dripped onto my own foot. The crease The crease behind my knee was sweating so much, it dripped onto my own foot. Thank you for sticking around. I'm sorry, I'm so sweaty. This is what I do for you. If you like the pod, rate it. Rate it 5 stars on all the things. It really helps. If you like it a lot, share it with people who you think would like it too. I know they would be hard to find, actually, to find someone who would like this. But if you do, that person probably often doesn't find something like this, so send it to them. This would be a little gem for them. I would be a little gem for them. I'm a little gem for everyone. Thanks, and email in, and goodbye. And goodbye.